Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Instagram Live for and all the things. Today, let me get my lovely and absolutely glorious guest in here. Let's see. It's always my favorite. But you're in for a treat. If you haven't listened to, I think it's episode number 48, you need to check in. Hello!
I got to change my view.
Yeah, but that's cool though. What are we looking at? I think we lost her. Let's see if I can get her back. Instagram can be hard. Oh, and Jeannie's here. Hello.
Oh, wait. I got it.
I saw you. There she is. Yeah. I love your hand clapper. I've been thinking about that. I heard that song, I Can Make Your Hands Clap, right? And I was like, Andy can make the hands clap.
You know, it adds a little bit of a joyfulness. It adds a yummy playfulness. It makes everybody realize, we're cheering each other on every single day.
Yes. And you are just like the epitome of that. I read your email earlier, and friends, she's like, good morning, you gorgeous, glowing goddess. I am so stoked. And I'm just like, oh, me? And it's just those tiny little moments where, like, you take the time to write all those words. I mean, maybe you're texting, I don't know, but like you take the time to acknowledge the person on the other end. And when I read that, I said, my good God, I'm not doing emails any service. I need to really put some oomph into them.
Well, and also, we have to understand we're not everybody's cup of tea. So I've always been Ande Lyons for years.
I was going to bring that up today because we didn't talk about that on the episode. Tell me about Ande Lyons.
Well, I was on it's about 12 years ago, maybe even longer. I was on a Twitter chat. So back in 2011, 2012, we did these wonderful Twitter chats. They were so much fun. And someone said, you're so delicious. In fact, you're Ande Lyons. I was like, ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
There we go. And I've used it ever since. And I really believe that when you are a brand in the world and you really want to fine tune who wants to work with you, who wants to be in your space, you got to be really clear how you vibe that, right?
And bold, kind of, right?
Yeah, and so Ande Lyons, I knew for some people who shudder or go, oh, what's that all about? I knew that they would be
not your people.
And quickly filters. So boom, they remove themselves actually when you're clear.
Well, they self-select out, right? And that's the beauty of those boundaries. When I say, this is who I am, this is where I am, take it or leave it. And when they leave it, you're like, thanks. It doesn't always feel like amazing in the moment, right? But then it's like, ooh, get that riffraff out of the way. And I think that's one of the things I love so much about you is you are bold. You do bold things in everything that you do, whether you're showing up as Ande Lyons, like hardcore, or Ande Lyons. And I love to see that in a woman at any age, but as we talked so much about in the podcast, we have to live with purpose. We have to, at every age and stage, check in with ourselves and who are we? What do we want? And I can tell you from experience, it's hard. It can be hard, right? But staying the same, staying in discontent, that's really hard.
That'll kill you.
That'll kill you. And it's, listen, I mean, part of my job as a coach is to constantly be growing and exploring myself. And there are things that, I haven't really wanted to look at. But as I talk to women like you, and as I have conversations about living out loud, I start to look at myself a little differently. Like, how am I playing quiet? Like, where am I shushing myself? And I just think it's such an important conversation that we have, again, at every stage, because if we're living without purpose, are we even living?
Well, you're talking about the indoctrination for so many women, which is to be quiet, to not be too much, and to judge other women who are gaining attention or living out loud in a certain way. And during the decades, they're for different reasons. In their 20s, it can be different, 30s, 40s, 50s. And of course, they do say that as you age, you have less F's to give when you're looking out into the world, but you still are dealing with indoctrinated stories. And that is especially for folks who are aging
Mm-hmm.
and they're being told, you're too old to do that, right? You're too old for this.
Especially when we get to those renaissance ages, right? Those later stages in time. And I just want to say hello to everyone. Jean, no sugar coating coach, and Aaron and Eric. Hello, waves and claps. But it becomes compounded, right? Like when you're
Right.
in your 20s and you have this identity and this image, and then that's a block. And then you get into your 30s and it's another block and a block and a block and a block. And then
Mhm.
you're standing on a pillar, right? Going, what do I do? There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to move. And so when I think about the work I do as a coach, I don't want people to get to 40, 60, 80 and finally figure it out. If they're at that time, great. But it's how do we get into the minds of that before that 20-year-old, that building that foundation with a little more breadth to it, you know?
Well, and I think too, it's also if you want to start that early, because you have to get up against adversity, you've got to have all these different experiences that will help you tap into your unworthiness and all the negative
That's right.
feelings.
Right.
And I think that what you want to build on is that having grace for yourself and understanding. So many people think that the memo is, oh, you're supposed to be happy all the time, and it isn't. It's you're supposed to be growing all the time. And
Yep.
so sometimes you learn how to get comfortable with uncertainty and being uncomfortable. It can be a muscle that you build, but it never goes away. So I make lots of choices because I'm seeking something. So whether it's launching a new podcast or when I just created the New England Podcasters Group.
Yeah, it looks like that's really riving up.
Yeah, that's so it's so meaningful, and it was suiting the need I was looking for, which is community. But also, Michaela, it still taps into my what if I have a party and nobody shows up? And I have had that happen. So I have a little of that PTSD. And so, or you find out they're just not that into you, right? You're like, it's still so it's hard. So I have a deep appreciation for the work you do. And another thing I want to remind anybody that works with someone like you, but hopefully you, that they understand that just because you figured it out for this stage, period, 5-year chunk of time, doesn't mean that now you're ready to grow and glow in a different way. You got to bring the coach back in. You've got to have that second set of eyes and heart and brain looking at and pointing out and spotlighting how you've shifted, right?
That's right.
Having those milestones to say, I was doing this and now I'm doing that. Oh my gosh, who was Jigsaw? I have to tell you, I am a big jigsaw puzzler, so
Oh,
I went right down there.
That is an old he's not old, but a former administrator when I was a teacher,
Oh,
Kevin Searfoss. Hi, Kevin. And we've got, who is this? Mia Voss on the go.
oh, hi,
Says
Mia.
I'm
Oh, look at you
listening in
tuning
from
in.
the trail. And Jeannie says, I love that. And I love that everyone's here with us. Thank you.
Thank you,
Um,
Mia.
so, okay. So thinking about finding purpose, taking our voice, maybe stepping outside of conformity. And did you attend the Answer the Call event last night? I saw it on your stories. I was not able to attend. I'm super bummed, but I've been checking all the feeds
Oh,
and it
good.
looks like it was exceptional. Can you tell us about that event? What was it? What was the purpose? And what's your takeaway?
Absolutely. And the night before, I had gone to Surge, which is Show Up for Racial Justice. So that is a really well oiled machine that will have you clicking on links to take action other than giving money.
And
So I
that's
had
SURJ.
URJ. Yeah. And
Check it out,
so,
friends.
yeah, they are, so that's what I was looking at this for. And I knew this would be more celebrity, right? And it was really, I think it was a way to show the Black women win group that we have their backs, right? That there's a huge chunk of American women who care deeply and want to shift. And I think Glennon Doyle's message to look, we need to show up like our Black women friends show up. Okay. We have to have those tough conversations at the barbecues, wherever our network is hanging out. If there's anybody in it, see, I'm in Massachusetts, so everybody's nodding their head. Yeah, we're all on the same page. But I'll go up to New Hampshire. But otherwise, pretty much in New England, we're surrounded with folks who really believe in this new administration. But as far as the organizers of the group, they did a great job from start to finish, keeping people moving. I thought it was phenomenal that Pink was there
I love
from her
that.
plane,
Oh,
right? And so she was in her plane, having just done a gig in Stockholm. So there's impassioned pleas for getting involved. Raising money was a really big deal. We were able to raise over $2 million, but also to really understand that the work is just beginning.
Yeah.
That we can have this nice little rah-rah honeymoon, cash bar, everybody, yay, moment. But
on the hope, but
at
we
the
have work
same
to do.
time, we have to take that energy, move it forward, and actually do the hard things that our Black women are so used to doing. We are not. We don't like to be that uncomfortable for so long. It's time to have a spa treatment. And I'm talking overarching,
Absolutely. Very general. Very
very,
general.
very general. Lots of us are working hard and doing hard things and
Yeah.
scrimping and trying to get by. But as far as Shannon Watts bringing together, as she has done for over a decade with Moms Demand Action and taking down the NRA, when she picks up the phone and says, let's do this, people say yes.
People answer.
Yeah, so that's lots of really good example of women in leadership positions, right?
And she was on Glennon's We Can Do Hard Things podcast, and it's a really fantastic episode for anyone that wants to get to know Shannon Watts.
Yeah, because I always wondered, how does this woman show up with all the carnage from the guns every day? And then I found out she's Buddhist. I went, okay, she's got a place to go and a space to hold.
Good for her. Okay, so I'm going to reference the podcast. We're going to switch back to that. When we talked at the end, right, we got into that delicious conversation about women and sex and orgasms and all the stuff. And I have had 2 men, no women have commented on this particular statistic. 2 men have reached out to me and said, Michaela, I just don't believe those statistics that only 23% of women admit to having orgasm from penile penetration. And I was like, do your research, dig it up. And then I said, tell me why you're so upset by this. And they're like, well, because I didn't know, and I'm like, how did you not know? How did you not know?
Pick up
faking it the whole
a
time.
pick up a hot, steamy romance novel, dude.
Right.
They're all doing all the right moves. Those alpha males, you know.
But I love that. First off, I love that they both felt so much to reach out to me and be like, I need to understand more. I sent them some information. I said, just Google it. The first thing that comes up, it says 25%. I said 23. But when we don't know, we don't know what we don't know. I can't see my nose. I can now, but I can't see the most obvious thing in front of my face until, to your point earlier, until you get that outsider's perspective and that input. And as we said earlier, women were very contained and told to stay quiet. So we're faking it all day,
But Michaela, think about the fact that we have indoctrinated this myth that just because we have penetration, we should be having all these orgasms. And now we're sitting there going, oh my God, we're failures in bed. And then we start pulling back and pulling back and pulling back.
And then we don't want to make them a failure because we want to protect them and we want to do all this. So everyone's just quiet.
Guys are about winning. You got to show them how to win. And you can bring in, if it's okay for me to talk about that, you can bring in the toys, you can bring all the things, because our sex organ is also outside the body. And yes, the G-spot and all of that is good. We can talk about that. I don't want Instagram to shut me down.
But I think we also talked about, for women, it's between the ears, right?
Yes,
you got to get in, you got to tease my brain.
Emotionally safe sex, whatever that looks like.
Yep. And I'm bringing it up again here because more people need to know this, not as a shame factor, not as a, see guys, we told you weren't all that great. None of that. But can we be honest about who we are, what we want, and what's happening with our bodies? Because I want to be happy for the rest of my life, right? I want to move through with purpose in all areas of my life. So I wanted to bring that up so everybody could hear it again.
Right? Well, and also intimacy, if you're in a long-term relationship, that intimacy is so important for it to last, right? And so you got to figure out what turns you on and tunes you in. Otherwise, you become parallel partners doing all the things, and then you're ripe for an affair or something that will damage the relationship.
Yeah, and it spreads to you know, I was talking about this earlier with a friend, like we have to grow, right? You said it earlier. We're here to grow.
Yeah.
It's not always fun and comfy, but if we're not talking about how we're growing, how we want to grow, how we want to see change, we're going to be stuck in the same spot
Mhm.
forever, right? And we do not want that in life. So that makes me think as we're growing and aging, I see that you're a Leo. You're celebrating Leo
Yes,
season is here. I have
I
two Leos in my house. Clap hands. Um, what is it? So you're aging again, right? You're getting another number added up there. What are we at? 68?
68.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, how does that feel? What does it feel like at this
Uh,
space where you are, don't be caged by your age? How does it feel to be turning 68?
well, great that you're asking me this question because even 6 months ago, I'd be like, but what don't be caged by your age has
Which is her
taught me.
podcast, folks. Her podcast and a viral LinkedIn post that you can hear more about in the episode. But go ahead.
It has freed me. It has liberated me because once you start aging out loud, Michaela,
Mm-hmm.
you start saying, this is how I look at this age, and I'm supposed to look at this age like this at this age. And you stop feeling ashamed for aging. And this is what we are told
Mm-hmm.
every single day,
Yep.
multiple ways.
Yep.
Wait a minute, you got to fix those, those wrinkles, those barnacles, all those things, because you don't want to look old, do
Right.
you? Well, geez, it's a gift to be
Yeah.
almost 68. There's
Yeah.
some dear people I know that did not make it this
Yep.
long and far. And I hope
And
to
they
age
would give
well.
anything for wrinkles. They would love to have wrinkles right now. Like I think about my cousin, and he would love to be dealing with gray hair, and
And
but
why
he.
is that so? And see, we have to go further in shifting the narrative. Why is that not okay? Why
Mhm.
is that a bad thing? Because when the reporter asked Andy McDowell, what does it feel
Yeah.
like to have lost your beauty? She's like, what?
I
Because
still like can't
your
believe that.
beauty comes up and out through your eyes. So it's
Mhm.
not enough for decades that we felt ashamed about our bodies. But now we have to feel badly because we
Yep.
don't fit the paradigm in the narrative about the youth narrative,
Yep.
basically.
Yep.
And so to answer your question, it feels great to be 68
Yep.
because I'm interviewing people in their 70s and 80s who are having the time of their life, the best years of their life. So I've got a lot to look forward to.
Yep.
But
Yes.
but it was because of the podcast, because when I came out about my age in 2022, right about now, you can see the photo of me holding the
Yep.
Route 66
66.
sign and going, will you still love me now that you know I'm so old? And, yes,
I'm
I'm
so
blessed
sorry
with
that had to
the,
happen, but I'm so glad you did it.
I'm blessed certainly with a great enthusiastic, let's go have fun, joy-filled nature. So I do attract a lot of Zeds and young millennials, of course. But you have met old people who are in their 30s,
Yep.
40s. It really is a state of mind.
Yep.
But my intention is to shatter the internalized ageist beliefs that we've taken on. It's enough that we get these in ageist beliefs from the institutions who want to kick us out because they think ambition dies as you age. It doesn't, it's ageless. Or the society who says, look, can you just go into the nursing home? We don't want to be bothered with you anymore.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Right. So we have to work with but it's those internalized ones. So I love hearing the stories and sharing the stories about how people are aging and thriving after 65, like the couple who in their late 70s started a comedy club.
Really?
They'd never had one. Or, there's just so many great stories out there. People doing remarkable things, taking up writing, publishing their first book, doing video at 68, right? People are modeling, getting hired
Love
by modeling
that.
agencies. There's just so many wonderful stories about what they're doing, even if they can't see or walk. Private investigator, resume builder, all these things. So it's not just those who were the Ninja Warrior athlete that I interviewed at 72 who made
Wow.
the Guinness Book of World Records. I mean, that is a body that
Yep.
was made to do that type of athleticism for forever. The rest of us are like, I'm like, heck, I don't think so.
I'm going to go play pickleball.
Even then, it's like, do I want to risk having to have surgery? I don't know. I'll stay with hiking and walking and lifting weights.
And I think that's it, right? Like we look at people and we say, I should be like
Oh, I
that,
have to
or I
say
should be doing.
hi to Troy. Hi, Troy. How are you?
Hi.
Troy does remarkable work in the world. Oh my gosh.
We'll have to check him out.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks for
yeah.
joining us. This is so fun. And we have Mark David and Countess Ileana. That is a beautiful name.
I know it. Sorry to interrupt.
So I think about
you, Michaela.
no. We're here for them, right? So let's acknowledge. I think that the more we can just hear the stories of alternatives and options and that growing older does not mean you lose abilities or independence. Sometimes I get it, but that we can still choose every day what we do with what we have. And that's true at 70 and at 20 and at 44. And if we're not slowing down and saying, well, whoa, who am I? What do I actually want? What are my opportunities and resources? And what's the worst that's going to happen, right? So you go out and you try pickleball and you hate it. Now you have data that says, I don't like pickleball. Now when you look at Instagram or something, you're not going to be like, oh, she's out there playing pickleball. I should, and start shooting all over ourselves, right?
Yeah, no, you've got to find what's in alignment with your personality. Yep. So I have this great book behind me here called Don't Retire, Rewire. And oh my gosh, Jerry Sedler asks the best questions. And part of that is finding out what fuels your passion and is in alignment, suits your nature, your personality, what you're working with. You may, have limitations for so many reasons that are physical, but you can shift it. I really loved checking my own bias when one of my guests told me that she was a gamer. And of course, I immediately thought, what, bridge? Bingo?
Yeah, you shared that too. That's so good. No video.
And she's really good.
And it's so important. Like, why not? Like, there are so many interesting video games out there. Why can't people in their Renaissance or legacy years embrace that?
Right.
Go have some fun. Go be childlike. Go shoot people on Grand Theft Auto. I don't know any of that stuff, but it's why not?
Right.
Why do we live? We talked about Hallmark cards on the episode. Why do we live according to the Hallmark card intonations? Right. Why don't we branch out of that and say, let's break the mold. Let's go do the thing. Let's try the thing, because
and that's life. Yeah, and also what I really appreciate about AARP is their foundation brings lawsuits to organizations that are, like Raytheon. The bias out there, the discrimination, age discrimination is horrible. To get policy change to really happen so that you can continue doing something you love without someone saying nope. And it's not always about salary, why they're dumping you. They want to bring in, quote, new minds. That's nuts. You need the experience with the younger generation's new view of the world. Absolutely. In that combo. So I love how they're standing up and taking people to court on this after giving warning, because that's where real advocacy and that's where real change happens, is when you, in the court system policies.
Well, and then it's a matter of, my coach hat goes on and I'm like, I look around and see how hard it can be for that, the people who have been in the company forever and these new people coming in, trying to blend those two mindsets through conversation. So for people in those situations, it's get support, get a consultant, hire a coach so that we can learn how to communicate across those age and
intergenerational.
And because this is our reality, we are living longer. We need to pay for more longer. There are more at risk in that way. And we have this generation of people who have seen so much more than I will ever see, experienced, can apply political, social, global, financial knowledge to the work that we have to do today. And I'll stand by it. When we know we're right, when I know I'm right about something, I'm immediately blocking all other opportunities, and we have to be curious. How can we blend this intergenerational workforce? How can we still stay positive, active, and motivated throughout all of our years? How can we have better sex? How can we have better conversations? How can we just be better? growing.
fulfilled on
Yes.
all
Yep.
in our full humanness,
Yes.
fulfilled. It's so important to ask those questions, but the intergenerational part, which is very important because we have boomers and Gen Xers who,
Yeah.
for the most part, have been indoctrinated to serve the corporate
Right.
capitalist structure, which means work for forever,
Yep.
right? And all day.
The
And what happened is that
company man. Right.
so the millennials and the Zeds watched their parents have the spit sucked out of them
Mm-hmm.
from these organizations, and they said, "I'm going to have different
Yep.
values," and so they work to live.
Yep.
And so what happens is though there's this belief, and I hear it a lot from my generation and the Gen Xers, which is they're lazy.
Yeah.
No, they have good values. They work to earn the money, but they also want more of the rich experience of being human. And so
Mm.
it's just
Which
so
is
much great.
delicious.
I know. And having been a startup founder mentor for 8 years globally, just working with the young minds and seeing how they're solving some of the biggest, hairiest problems that we're being faced with throughout the planet, I get so jazzed up.
Mm.
And who wouldn't want to bring their wisdom to the table? And really, the Gen Zs and the millennials, they do have a deep appreciation for, I mean, look at Bernie, if you want to go political, Bernie or Sanders or even Joe Biden, people have a deep appreciation for the wisdom. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so,
Mm-hmm.
and Gloria Steinem at
Mm-hmm.
90, she's
Yep.
kicking it and still providing value.
Bless
Ariana
her.
Huffington, I mean, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of great examples out there,
Yep.
but you need these as friendships too. So I highly encourage anybody, try to find community where you are in friendship with Zeds and millennials.
Mm. I think that's so great, right? That we are a tribal people. We biologically we are meant to have that. And you know, I am grateful. I am super blessed. My parents are alive and well. They're close. I have access to them. My children have access to them. And it to me is like the most precious gift. Like
Right.
that I get to have these three. I mean, I have four generations. My grandfather's still alive, but we still get to cross that and to see that time. And,
Well,
I just,
I'm laughing here,
so blessed.
Michaela, because I saw the funniest tweet meme where this gal says, "What, monogamy? Are you kidding? It takes 7 people to buy a home." And, and so I thought, but this is what we have,
That's
this
so
thing that's
funny.
only that's very young, this maybe 50, 70 years old of, oh no, you got to be independent. You need to buy your own home and just you live there. No, that again was a capitalist meme. Certainly in my greater Boston area, we have two-family homes, three-family homes everywhere. That's how it was done. Everybody chipped in to make sure that we weren't struggling, right? But now you have to have a home and you have to have a home and you're not worthy unless you have your own home.
Right.
That's nuts. And oh, by the way, it should be this huge McMansion.
Right.
So,
And then
whoops.
I like my very practical brain.
Hi,
I love
Wandering
it.
Stage.
I
How
was
are
gonna
you?
say hello.
Oh, Wandering Stage. He has this wonderful um, uh, ba- 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 mobile stage that he can bring to corporations and entertain, or into any parking lot and
Oh,
entertain. Wandering Stage is a wonderful,
that's really
wonderful.
cool.
Isn't that cool?
It's really cool. Hmm.
Yeah.
Could we do a wandering podcast?
Why not?
Why not?
Podcast on the go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I need to make my
yeah.
way. I need to make my way up to one of your podcasts. I'm not from New England, but I can be in New England.
You
I would
can.
love to get up there for
Where are
that.
you, Michaela?
New Jersey.
You New Jersey. Oh, well,
Not far.
I was in New Jersey for a second because I had to go over to
Hmm.
Wilkes-Barre last weekend. So
So you cruise
cross,
right through.
crossed right through.
That's
Oh,
great.
pod, podcast movement is in DC.
Mm.
That's on August 19th to the 21st. And then
Mm.
Podfest is a wonderful, wonderful annual event
I'm gonna
for
have to check that
indie
out.
podcasters.
I have to check that out. I need to keep learning from you. So I hope we will do this again because every
Please.
time I talk with you, I am renewed and validated about the work that I do. Thank you. You're very generous in your validation. I thank you for that. But in my pursuit of fulfillment. And when I talk to people, I say, like, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to be happy, right? Like, we have people out there showing us the way to find happiness at any age and stage. And I don't want people to be caged at any age.
No.
Whether it's a 20-year-old mindset of, planning and building the life, or the 70-year-old mindset of retiring and moving, or whatever age. I want people to have agency and to know they have choice, and that they can do big things, right? In any way that feels most, whether it's a wandering stage or something yet to be determined. I really love what you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Michaela. Yeah, there's so much folks have to give. And just because the clock strikes midnight on a milestone age doesn't mean you're done. You are not a horse. You do not go out to pasture. We need you.
You are not
we
a horse.
So need you.
Oh, I love that. So, Ande, you are just such a wealth of light and joy and celebration, and you really treat the world as though it's all delicious. And we can certainly learn from that.
For the most part, unless you need to hold my beer and I have to go do some.
Hold my beer. But you know what? That's part of life too, right? Life is not just the happiness. Life is any version of suffering. It's it's the roller coaster and the balancing. But we can't have the happiness if we don't get down to the low sometimes. And
I agree.
That's just part of it.
It's going with the rhythm and the vicissitudes of life. I happen to be a flotation device, but that's my DNA. But I have a deep appreciation of what those lows feel like.
You make me giggle. You're so good. You are just such a delight. Okay, so maybe it's too personal. I don't know, but when is your birthday? What date?
August 10, everybody. Oh, no, I'm a Leo. We send out postcards. We make sure everybody knows that.
That's so funny. My husband's the 8th and my son is the 18th. So we'll be singing you happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
And my dog is
this is one of my favorite cards. This is good for Leos. This is my son gave it's backwards, but people say high maintenance like it's a bad thing. Leos, that's our meme is it's okay to wish us happy birthday. And so you got one on the 18th, and what's the other day?
The 8th.
Oh, I'll be singing happy birthday to your Leos as well.
Oh. Well, hopefully we can connect again soon and just keep the giggles and all these little gems for people to pick up.
Well, and Michaela,
I so appreciate
you are so good at bringing up the topics with care, tender care. And I think that is what's your gift, is your ability to have these open conversations without the judgment, without trying to turn it into something really heavy like Drew Barrymore does. Sorry, Drew, but no, it's wonderful.
I just love to explore human potential, human insight. And I really believe in doing that compassionately. So coupling the curiosity, because that could go off on a rail, but with the compassion of why do I want this information, and what's the goal, and keeping it authentic to the person I'm talking with, because I preach authenticity. And so that's where I play.
And that's where you come from and where you glow from.
That's the plan. That's what we're doing here. So I feel super glowy. You tend to radiate that. And I just hope whatever you're off to today, that you continue to bring the glow and keep inspiring people to not be caged by their age. And friends, please go follow her podcast. Check her out. She is doing magnificent work and has been for a long time.
Thank you so much, Michaela, for having me. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Much love, and to everyone who joined, thanks so much. We'll catch you next time. Bye.